Hello, hello, hello. And so, since we have explained that this Torah Daled, the Likutey Moharan Chelek base, we are holding by paragraph Yud base 12. So, we explained that that principle that there is a contest between the providential will and the skafa that holds that nature rules the roost. And tzedakah allows that process. It's a battle. It's a battle between derech hateva, and which is metzach hanachos, and metzach harotzin. So, as we said, it's a two-step process. First of all, it is through the tzedakah you generate Yom Tovim generate the realization that everything runs in accordance to providential will, and that can cause many times this sort of brings down the metzach hanochosh, the chayas roes, the what you call the vicious animals. These are people that propagate the opinion that everything is natural. Mimela, there's chas v'chalila, the les din v'les dayan. Everything is a free for all, and so it is through the calling out of the rotzen that Yom Tovim do. This is something which is amplified with the tzedakah. So it stamps down the hashkafa of derech hateva. But then it comes up once more time again. And this time it wants to sow doubt in the very metzach harotzon itself. So tzedakah helps defeat it again. And we explained that this process has to happen twice. First time, you extricate those that are, from our nation that are convinced that nature runs things. First time, you take them out of it. And the second time around, you are able to connect them completely. It wouldn't go with one step. You have to do it twice. So now the Rebbe shows that these bechinos is also something that is acting in refuah, in medicine, in healing. And when the Rebbe said it, and with us learning it, this affects this kind of healing action. I said as follows: this is the bechina of medicines. Because this is a refuah for whatever ails you. All these aspects that we spoke about, and bechinas refuahs, these are all aspects, each one is an aspect of a healing agent. Tzedakah is an agent of healing. It says in Malachi, in the prophet Malachi, tzedakah harbors under its wings healing. And so, the tzedakah brings refuah. Zoken, we said that the source of vitality to derech hateva is people that live long but don't add kedusha every single day. So that gives that kind of impression that life is life, whatever it is. So what do you do during your lifetime? Some people excavate archaeological digs. Some people in Torah, some people whatever it is. But basically there's life, and within life, you have your own little hobbies. So this is the thing that strengthens the derech hateva. That's really the thing. That's the mother lode. That's the mother rock that everything is built upon, and everything else is like chas v'chalila. But when a person uses every single day of his life to add more kedusha, to add more tahara, that means that there is no nature. Nature comes in order for you to acquire kedusha, to acquire tahara, to acquire das. So the word zoken is an abbreviation of ze korna chochma. This is ziknet amidei chachamim that add kedusha and das every single day. This is also an aspect of a refuah agent. It says a mishle leshon chachamim marpe. The very language of chachamim is a healing agent. In other words, when you repeat something and you say it b'lashon chazal, the exact language or terminology that Chazal used, this brings about healing. This brings about refuah. Ratzain is b'chinas refuah. We're dealing here with volition, with will. Kmo shekasuv, Hashem shlachani, lachbosh nishbar lev, to heal, to bandage those of broken heart. Likroi shnas ratzain, to call a year of will. This calls about shnas ratzain. We're talking about the time when a Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to take his revenge from the Goyim. So you see, the Ratzon is a bandage and a healing. Meleches Ma'aseh Bereishis, we said that, when you do Ishtadlus, this in itself is Avodas Hashem, if you remember in the very beginning of the Torah. So Ma'aseh is also refuah. We said that the melachos that we do is awakening, it's exciting the Meleches Ma'aseh Bereishis. But when you have Yira, through the Ratzon that brings Yira, you get the Chesed, and you don't have to do Malach. I don't know if you remember that in the very beginning of the Torah we learned that. But that's also refuah. Moshe Kosov, Bini Besamigdosh, Vatal Arucha Lamelacha Beyodon. And that would bring about the healing, the melacha under their hands. Those are the people who were building the Beis Hamikdash, Basheni. So Binyan Beis Hamikdash, the Lamates Melachas, brings about Tarucha, brings about healing, brings about refuah.
What goyim is Hashem going to get revenge on?
Mm-hmm.
What goyim is Hashem going to get revenge on? Not the righteous one, right?
No. Why should the righteous one should get it? You want to say that no good deed should go unpunished?
Hashem punished Israel. The righteous also get. Everyone gets.
But that's something else. There's all kinds of bechina of Yisroel Arevim Zebazeh. They're all guarantors for one another. That's a different Indian altogether. But the Indian of the Nekama and the Goyim is something that will arrive in order to retrieve the light that we were supposed to get. There's a primordial light that was from the vessels that were shattered in the very beginning. Because we said that the primordial light of 7 days of Bereshis was in kelim which were shattered, and we retrieve them by withstanding the tests and the series that we go through. But these are shards, these are pieces of letters, pieces of sparks of light, and whatever it is. But that's a very, very high primordial light. Then, when we learn Torah and we daven, we take all these little pieces that we have retrieved by being Omer Ben Isayin, and we build out of this a Sogas Alakus. What happens if we don't withstand the Nisyanis, as actually happened? Yeah. When a person has a machshava of let's say, licentious machshavas, yirurim, you can be 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, doesn't make a difference. You have the same fantasies and the same mishigas that the teenager has. What good does it do to you if you're 70, if you're 80, if you're 60, whatever it is? It's as good like a dog chasing cars. He's going to catch the car. What is he going to do with it? I mean, it's just the whole thing is a joke. But nevertheless, there's an avodah that comes to the mind. A person feels worthless. He feels depressed. You know something? I'll project a movie in my own mind. Yeah, this and that. I mean, I'm not doing any damage to anyone, right? I'm not hurting no one. It's just my own mind. The Rebbe said that every hero is in Sichas Aran. The Rebbe said that it's a big gum. It keeps on coming back, keeps on coming back, keeps on coming back. It's an avodah. It's an avodah. But because in this hero, in this thought, when you say stop, either says, no, I don't want to think it. I don't want to think it. I do not want to think it. Even if you're going into it, it already pulled you in. And in the middle, you just say, okay, no, stop. No, now stop. What you're doing is, inside there is the Ahavas Nafulas, this fallen chassadim, fallen loves from the primordial life of Ma'aseh Bereshis. And when you withstand the Nisayon, you take out the broken letters, the shards of light, whatever it is, you get it back. But it's still, everything is like it's a pile of raw material of the highest light there is. Then you learn Torah and you daven, it puts it together, and out of those things, because whenever it is that you are withstanding any sign, you acquire that light that was lost in these klipas, it becomes yours. It's your personal property now. When you're withstanding the Nisayon. Okay, so Am Yisrael did not withstand the Nisayon. No, what now? So basically, this, was destroyed. We went in Galus. The Goyim are doing all the balaganim, and they're extracting whatever it is that we need to go through for not standing the Nisyanis initially. And when the Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to take Nekama in them, then all the primordial light is going to come back. It's going to be retrieved. That's the greatest Le'in of Nekama. So, there's a call Likra, Hashem shlachani lachbos nishbeo lev. Hashem sent me to bandage and to heal those of broken heart. Likroi shnas rotzain, to call out, to declare a year of will, of goodwill, of favor. So you see, the rotzain is Meleches Ma'aseh Bereshis is referred to V'tal Halucha L'Melocha B'Yodam, building of Beis because we said that when a person does Ishtadlus, does it B'kedusha, he is me'oira, ma'aseh bereshis. So all these different issues that we brought up in this teaching, each one of them is a refuah agent. And the Rebbe says, how does it work? The refuah samako, the healing of an injury, well, they kama bechinas. It goes through a certain processes. First of all, what is needed, what is an infection in a place, that boil or that infection, whatever it is, will be lanced. It has to be opened. And then you need something, to suck out, the pus or whatever is there. That will suck out and clean, the all the pus and the infected blood, whatever it is from the wound. And then all the blood in the body has to be cleansed, has to be cleaned. Shouldn't be any infections in it or any kinds of bacteria, whatever, viruses, whatever it is. So the blood will be able, to circulate in the body properly without infections and inflammations in various places, whatever it is. Everything has to be clean. When the blood circulates in the body in its usual manner, they come in a place where there is either an infection or inflammation or whatever it is. There's the place of the injury, any kind of injury. Then the blood, is congregated there. This is where the blood soaks up all the infections and the inflammations and all the whatever it is in the blood. Because this is the way things go. The place that is out of order, place of injury. This is the place where all the damage, all the infections and all the the bacteria and the viruses, whatever it is, everything is there, that ultimately ends up in the blood, and then the blood stays there, and it doesn't run properly because the blood, the blood flow has a certain order it needs to go. That it circulates the entire body that many times an hour. But when it's infected, when there is different things that shouldn't be there, then they're being retarded in that place where the damage is. Then that hurts the particular order that they need to keep. And that's why the blood needs to be cleansed, has to be laundered, as it were. And after this is done, then the opening of the injury has to be closed, has to be healed. And all these steps of healing, and this is all done through these agents these processes that we spoke about. Tzedakah is the thing that opens up Priyamoko. And it's not just physically, because also emotionally, also spiritually, it festers. The first thing that needs to be done, it has to reach a certain kind of a crisis. In other words, the place of infection needs to be lanced. It has to be opened. Usually that's the part that hurts the most, But that's the beginning of the healing. So that's what the tzedakah does. And so by the tzedakah, patoch tiftach esedecha, patoch tiftach, open up. So you see that the opening up of the situation, it brings it up to a bowl, like even shlom bayis between people. If you're a husband and a wife, they don't talk about things don't go away. They fester. It has to be open, situation has to be opened, reality has to be faced, and so forth and so on. This is patoch tiftach, the tzedakah does that. Chachma, Chachma is the thing that attracts, all the impurities. How do you know what let's say people, I'll give you not necessarily just physically, but also conduct-wise. People get into debt, okay? So at first you don't even notice there's something wrong. I mean, they have income, they have outcome, everything is fine. Suddenly they see that there are $1 million in overdraft in the bank. How did I get there? Suddenly they said there's nothing they can do. They can't move left or right. Okay, now so the banks start calling. We want your apartment. We want this. We want, because it gets, a whole balagan. So the situation explodes. So it goes, oh, I wish it didn't happen. Or what do you wish? Until now, it's a situation that was building up. You didn't realize that. You saw money's coming in. You saw that money's going out. Everything's okay. I was making a lot of money, every month. So everything is okay. Whatever it is, suddenly, we're standing before a pit, a cesspool of debt. So that brings about an explosion. That's the lancing of the makkah, of the injury. And it comes out, there's an emergency. What do? You go to a chacham. You go to somebody who can advise you, either about shlom bayis or about home economics, or educating the children. Or things come to a boil, come to a head. Okay, when it comes to a head, it opens up. Then the expert, the chochma, comes in, and it sucks out. Okay, take your, for 1 month, don't change anything. Just whatever it is that you purchase, get receipts. Just get receipts. The first thing you need to do is you have to get receipts. So then you come to the chacham with all your receipts, and he says, okay, write down all your expenses. Write down all your income. Let's take the receipts without any change. Okay, we spend this much on food, spend this much on taxis, we spend this much on toys, this much on entertainment, this much on clothing, this much on this on vacations, this much on this much on that, whatever it is. And then you take a look and you say, hey, the income is less than the outlay. So the chacham pulls out, the infection. It pulls out, brings to light what is wrong. Once it brings out what is wrong, okay, so let's see, what are we willing to, to give up? What are we willing to, whatever it is, what are we willing to put aside? So in case of emergency, if we need it, because that come Yom Tov, you're going to need more money. Come Pesach, you're going to need more money. Rosh Hashanah, whatever it is, you're going to need more money. How much are you going to put aside during the year? In case of emergency, in other words, the Chacham already pulls out the causes of infection. It takes it out. So the Chachma is Koyach HaMashech. That Moshe Chachma mipninim. Mipnim is lifna nifnim. Chazal said, Pchinas Chachma pulls out his Moshech and Moitzi, the kilkul, the damage, and the infection, from the most inner places. It shows you the conducts that were wrong. Physically, it shows, it pokes out where the infection is or inflammation is, whatever it is. The same process. Anything that is not running the way it should be, it pulls out. Regel, this is Yom Tov, which is called Regel. Shus Galos Rotzon, we said before that that's the thing that reveals the Rotzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because in all the Regel and Kadosh Baruch Hu did tremendous miracle with us, there was proof positive it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu around the world and not nature. Now, this is the thing that cleanses and launders the blood so they can circulate properly. Shene'emar ein roigel, and Meshes ein koivis. Ein roigel is regel. It is meaning ein koivis, as Rashi said, that like the launderer. He cleansed the woolen clothing, the way that used to clean from the woolen. They used to kick them. They would bring the wool clothes to the launderer, professional launderer. Those, how would they do it? Yeah, put it in water, whatever it is, and put the agents, whatever it is, and they would kick it. It would kick and this is how they took out the dirt out of the. So the en roigel, the place, the place of the roigel means en koivis. That's the place of the launderer. So we see that regel is a euphemism for laundering. So regel beyontiv is a bechina that launders the blood. The regel beyontiv is through regel and yontiv, which is galos harotzon that reveals the rotzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the thing that washes and launders the blood. If we take the example that I gave before, it comes in home economics. Okay? Once you figure out that everything is done through Harrigan, you have to get food, you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you have to buy clothing, and you have to this, and you have to that. It seems like, this is derech hateva, right? This is like it says, yeah, but everything is controlled with derech barotzing. If you realize that you don't have to spend this money, there's a way, there's a process of gilui rotzin. You are the one, it's your money. If you can impose your rotzin, you should impose your rotzin on your expenditures. You should impose your rotzin on your conduct with your household. The same thing, there's an exposing, the imposing the rotzin on the dome, and it cleans out the dome because the expenditures, let's say, if we're talking about economics, expenditures need to be mesudadik. This is what you have for food every month. This is the amount of thing that you put aside for clothing. The thing is, yeah, it looks like teva. You have to eat, you have to buy clothing. It's like, what's shaykh rotzen in this? But when there's rotzen there, you are able to control exactly what it is that you do. So that life doesn't control you, but you control life, as it were. That one's wife can come to him and says, listen, we have to get a new sofa. I'm embarrassed to call my girlfriends to bring him over. It's such a decrepit sofa. How can I live with my girlfriend seeing what kind of sofa we had? When there's no rotzon, there's no favor, the husband feels, oh, there she goes again. And he says, I have no money. We have no money, I'm sorry. So she feels cramped. She feels cramped. And she says, all you think is just money, 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 money. And that squeezes him even more. He loses more favor, more rotzin. He's losing more rotzin. He's become less elastic, less able to deal with situation. You're just like your mother. Bekitzur, they're losing rotzin, they're losing favor, and they become more and more brittle until they become like, becomes on the principle. I'll never forgive you. I'll never forgive you. You make me feel like a nothing, and you make me feel like this. Kitzur, balagan. What happens if you introduce rotzin to the whole process? The wife says, we have to get a new sofa. I can't live with this sofa. My girlfriends come. I can't show my face. I absolutely cannot show my face around. I cannot bring anybody home. How can I live without bringing my girlfriends home? So if you introduce rotzin, favor, rachmanis, so you say to your wife, you're 100% right. How much does a new sofa cost? Well, 2,000 shekels. Okay. How much money do we have? I don't know. Whatever. I said, wait. You're right. We need to get sofas. I'll tell you what. We can put aside 300 shekels a month. Okay? We put aside 300 shekels a month. We'll get up not 2,000, 2,500 shekels. And you go and you buy whatever sofa you want. Huh? And we'll have a beautiful sofa.
2 years.
No, why? Yeah, it's just 8 months and you have a brand new sofa. I mean, we can't go out and get debts. We already have debts. But let's owe us. We just put the money aside because money comes in, we put it aside, we get a new sofa and buy out. Okay, so taluchas adomim. Dom is also money, right? Taluchas adomim, it goes according to the cycle. Money comes in, money comes out, you put some aside. However, this Mesudadic way, when you introduce rotzin is favor, rotzin is rachmanis. The same thing that acts for shlom bayis, the same thing that acts for economic behavior, conduct. Same thing, conducts the refus aguf also. The rotzon does that. It cleans out the dobin, the bad habits, the infections, inflammations, and the blood can run properly. So the house budget can run properly. So the relationship can run properly. Everything is the same principle. Well, there's an asap, adochtikis of dom, kolim adom liftavev kaseda, and the dom can circulate properly. זה הרגע נקרא חג. יום טוב מכל חג. חג זה schon סיבוב, היושב על חוג הארץ, is a circle. It's something that you need to keep a cycle. בכלל, you need to see that the cycle is a very fundamental principle that runs throughout the Bria. You can see all the celestial bodies. They all run in circles. They all run in cycles. Everything runs in circles. That's avodas Hashem of the celestial bodies. The year is a cycle. The blood in the body is a cycle. And every week is a cycle. Every month is a cycle. Every year is a cycle. This is Chagim Choigo, in the Sibuv Haaretz. When you take away the infections, the impurities, you take them away. It doesn't matter spiritually, physically, bodily, whatever it is. When you take the impurities away, one cleanse it out. It runs, the cycle runs properly. Even your washing machine runs like that, right? A cycle. Okay, wasn't funny. The washing machine. Okay, so it wasn't a funny joke. What can I do? Not everything I say is funny. Ma'aser Bereishis. So when you do Ishtadlus, you're me'or the lametes melochus of the Mishkan, which is me'or the lametes melochus of Ma'aser Bereishis. But through the year of the Rotzen, you bring about year and you don't even have to do Ishtadlus. The world is built through Chesed, because it's through these bechinas that tzedakah and the chokhmah and the regel and all these things and your bechina of olam Chesed dibone, you bring about Chesed in the world. The bechinas zochen lashpos Chesed. You're zochen that the Chesed, the bounty, flows in by itself. Chasdoi. Because vatem konei Hashem tikarau. The kehuna is Chesed. Is bechina. Kohen Chesed. The Kohen Chesed, that brings about the final healing of the wound. You opened up the wound, you cleared the infection, you cleaned the blood, you laundered the blood. Now it's time to close up the wound, to heal, and everything to run properly. This is Kohen Chesed, this closes the Piyamoka. It says, how do we know that the Kohen does that? We say when there is a nega, where there is leprosy, it says Veiski a Kohen is a nega. The Kohen, locks away the nega, but the language it turns is the hisgil, shon this goal to close up the nega, to close up the wound. The Pchinas Chesed, Pchinas Kohen, it is through the chesed of favor, of chesed, of rachamim. Pchinas Kohen, nisgar moko, the gamver in Slavic language. This heals out the moko. It does it, and it's merape b'shleimus. Let's see what Reb Nosson has to say about this. Okay, this was actually when this Torah was said. It says lichura. It says this Indian that is we're talking about now, refuah, maka. What does it have to do with this Torah? It seems like it's nothing to do with it. It says that Shamati man shishlaminu. I heard before Shavuos when this Torah was said. One of the important people from Anash, from the town of Ladizian, he had a wound inside the rectal cavity. And he was very sick, and the doctors said there's nothing can do. There wasn't like they could do surgery, like they couldn't do that. He cannot live. But he says, but if the wound will open up and it will drain, then it's possible that maybe he should live. You have to cleanse it. You have to take out all the infections and whatever it is that you need to do in order to heal the makkah. That was the thing about that particular person. Makkah means a wound, an infection or boil or whatever it is. Any kind of makkah, any kind of injury is called a makkah. This you cannot do because you cannot do it inside the inside the body. He will die. He will die. So the people of Radizim came to Shavuos to Rabbeinu Zal, and they told him after Shavuos, Rabbeinu said this mimer that he speaks about exactly how the makkah is being healed. When they came home, when Rabbeinu said this Torah, this is exactly what happened to this person. That the wound was opened, that it was drained, the whole thing was cleansed, the Baruch Hashem, that everything is. And so we see that whatever it is Rabbeinu says, we see it in the world. Everything that's happening in the world goes into the Torah of Rabbeinu. All the bechinas. And it says everything is through inside his holy Torah. Rabbeinu pulled refuahs and tikkunim to everything, the gashmis and ruchnis. Now, the Paparoyas is saying something interesting, and he says as follows. All these bechinas of the healing of the makkah, we just explain how it happens in physical injury, how it happens in economic conduct, how it happens in shlom bayis, how it happens with a person is, is we take for granted our children. Okay, they're small. What do they know? So they'll do whatever it is I say. Whatever. Okay? In the meantime, I behave one way at home and when outside, I'm the ghost taking a low payers. What about in the house? So no, shut, be quiet. Oh, okay, so they grow up, they grow up, until suddenly they go, your kid is smoking on Shabbos in the park. Why the kids are smoking on Shabbos in the park? Because the kids are telling you the truth. You care about how your neighbors see you, your social status, whatever it is. Everything else you shove under the carpet. But what about me? Your kid, okay, so people will see me smoking on Shabbos in the park. This guy is such a Moshe Grois, such an important uh, dignitary in our community. Look at his kids in the park. That's your real face. You have to face reality. There's an explosion, a piyamaka. All these things, whenever it is, there's neglect. Neglect brings about, a kilkul, infection, inflammation. It doesn't matter spiritually. Chinuch habonim. It's always the same thing. And the Papa always talks about the way that you enter into avodas Hashem. And he said that all this is happening by a person who starts in avodas Hashem. The kolat cholos koshes. All the beginnings are difficult. You see. Well, listen, I'm getting older every day. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But I'm getting older every day, and there's literally hell to pay. What am I going to do? Can I get rid? Maybe I can get rid of the internet. No, maybe it's maybe not watch movies. Okay, don't read books, but I have to escape. What am I going to do? I feel like such a nebuch that at least in my imagination, I'm this big guy. There's a folklore story about this Indian guy. In India, this guy was lazy with a capital L. And there's lazy and there's lazy. This guy was lazy. And he did something, was able to do some kind of a job, and he actually managed to buy a jug of milk. He put the jug of milk there, and he's sitting there, and he is proud of himself. So here I go, I have a jug of milk. And here I am taking the jug of milk, I'm taking it to the market. And the market says, oh, there's such amazing milk. We're going to give you a lot of money for it. So I sell it and I buy a goat. Buy a goat, I have more milk. And I'm able to start people saying, yeah, brother, this is the best goat's milk there is. It's so healthy, goat's milk is very healthy. People, whatever it is, like that. And then I get and I buy a cow. Oh, wow, this is even, a bigger thing. Now I have a cow, I have cow's milk, whatever it is. Now, whatever it is, I have a cow, I make a lot of money. Now I'm able to get myself a wife, get married, in India, if you have a cow, you have a goat, now you can get married, whatever it is. And I have this good wife, and I tell her to do this and to do that. And, and then she gets like lazy, because women are lazy, whatever it is. So I tell her, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And he give a kick to the wife and said, just go ahead and do it. And he kicked the jug of milk and broke it. All this happening with Koich HaDimyon starts with the Makkah. Olas chalas kotesh, because there is this gabris, is an overcoming, there's a surge of metzach hanochos that doesn't want to let you start a new way. Start a new way. So what is the thing that you're doing now that you should not be doing? Take one thing, because this is not doing, it's going to be difficult. Going to be difficult. Going to be difficult, but you have to start. Until it completely confuses a person. I want it, I don't know, maybe if I give it up, what would I do? What do I do with my time? I can't sit and learn all day long. I don't know what I'm going to do. Each one according to whatever it is that's holding him back. This is merutzas of damim shebanefesh. This is the cycle of the damim, of the blood in the nefesh. Especially the beginning of tzedakah, which is the hardest of them all. There's a ikar, yenikas metzach hanochos, and so forth and so on. As we said before, the main thing that we have to start. Yeah, that's exactly what the Rebbe said. The Rebbe said that when a person is generous, that's not avodah, it's tzedakah, but it's not avodah, it's tzedakah. It's not that powerful. He says, dafka when you don't want to. I'll give you a shekel. 5 shekels? To him? To him? I give 10 shekels to him, but not 5 shekels to him. That's a way to say tzedakah. And achinami. Listen, if the Yetzer Hara doesn't start up with you, it means you haven't started. That's the way it works. We'll take it a little longer so we can finish the Torah today. And now we'll see how this entire Torah is embedded in the very beginning of the Torah, the first pasuk. Zeh perish b'yom bikurim. Bikurim is zascholo, bechor, and kasha kemavkira. The first, Yivchinas tzara kemavkira. So, the tzara of Bas Tzion is like a woman is giving birth for the first time. It's the hardest. All the beginnings are difficult. What is the beginning? In other words, the beginning of the tzedakah. As you said, that's the hardest point. To give. No. Because when you start giving tzedakah mechodosh, it's p'chinas mincha chadosha. You start now. We said, okay, let's say that a person has debts. How can I give tzedakah? Give myself, the money is not mine. I have to pay my debts. But I have to give myself. But I can't give because it's not mine. Okay, but what about my needs? My needs, I need, huh? So what do? You end up not doing anything. You're not paying your debts. You're not giving tzedakah. So find yourself a solution, okay? As far as them say that as long as you have debts, you're part of a Maisa. The Ashkenazim say, no, you have to give Maisa. So combine them both. Take your Maisa and pay your debts. Find a way through until now, as we said before, when a person owes somebody money, he doesn't have money. I borrowed, we said we borrow 1,000 shekels. Suddenly I get 1,000 shekels to pay him back. If I pay him back the 1,000 shekels, I won't have any money. He doesn't know that I have 1,000 shekels. I give him 800. That's what I'm saying, man. By the time you get to him, it's 500. One time, if you knock on his door, it's already down to 250. He doesn't know I have the money. I give him 250. He'll be happy. See, the guy remembered me. If he's not home, you'll not give him anything at all. Now, what's going to happen? You're not paid any debts. The money is gone. Because money is like a butter on a hot skillet. And it's gone. Money doesn't keep. Start. Any form of tzedakah, any form, paying debts is tzedakah. We already said that noksayich tzedakah, those who rob you, when the goyim rob you, is also b'chinas tzedakah. How much more so to pay debts b'vaday tzedakah? Start. Mincha chadasho, but tzedakah chadasho. The beginning of the tzedakah, mincha and tzedakah, magishay mincha b'tzedakah. This is what we said. When you start giving something, it's very difficult. And when you start, suddenly your money runs out. I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to behave myself, and I get a 2x4 in the face. I mean, what's going on? All the beginnings are hard. When you give tzedakah, that removes and rectifies the damage that is done by people who live long without adding kedusha and das every day. The b'chinas zoken. How I Shavuos is b'chinas zoken. What does it to do with it? Shavuos we receive the Torah Har Sinai, right? And on increase Yam Suf, the people saw Kadosh Baruch Hu, and he saw like a young man. He saw like a young man. Ishmael Chama was a warrior. Shavuos and Har Sinai, they saw him kezoken malerachamim, like a sage full of rachamim. The Sinai Kadosh Baruch Hu kezoken. When you give a new mincha, you give a new tzedakah. It's the beginning of a tzedakah that fixes that concept of b'chinas zokin. B'chinas b'shavuos. You are cutting off the livelihood of the metzach hanochos. Everything is favor. You give somebody else money from your hard-earned money. You're not going to have that money. You're going to pay your debts. You're not going to have any money left. What goes the whole thing? You got to think of number one, right? Yeah. That's metzach hanochos. Don't worry about it. It's going to come back. It's going to work for you. And when you do that, then it wakes up the B'chinas of Yom Tov. It's not just something, I have to get through Yom Tov. It's finished. I'm Yom Tov'd out. I went to Yom Tov becomes something that calls out the Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's the Mikra Kodesh Yalachem. Shavuos will be Mikra Kodesh. It will call out the Kodesh. It will call out the providential conduct with which HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. And it will call a Kriya Shel Yom Tov is Galus HaRatzon. Zeh B'chinas Mikra Kodesh. And how can you hear the Mikra Kodesh? Because Mikra Kodesh is all the time. But how can you hear it? How can you zocher to be sensitized to hear it? By giving tzedakah. The tzedakah does it. You are able to hear the rotzim. Vazai, and then when you do that, you're able to beat down the metzach hanochos to his galas rotzim. We don't even need to do any shtadlus. There's galas rotzim as a yira. We said the yira, that's the kli to receive the chesed. The yira nishma chesed. You have to do any melacha. And this is what the pasuk says. And strangers will stand and will shepherd your flocks. You'll be chesed. You'll get the shefa eloki without any need of being shtadlus. Because you don't need any kind of melacha, any kind of shtadlus, any kind of asik, because the world will be sustained through the Chelik HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Korah Hashem Tikareo. Now, the Rebbe brings just a couple of things that have to do with this. He says there's a difference between the vicious animals, Chachmei HaTeva, of step number one, that you beat them down and then they wake up again, but they wake up again, they become Netzach HaNochos. They start with being vicious animals and they end up being Netzach HaNochos. What's the difference between the two? The Nachash is not a very nice animal either. So what's the difference between Chayes Reis and Netzach HaNochos? The Chiluk, Chayes Reis and Netzach HaNochos, is Chachmei HaTeva, which is vicious animals. These are the Chachamim, the whole Chachmas HaTeva. They are awesome. They enjoy it. This is what they like. They're physicists. They get Nobel Prizes in physics. They build rockets. They come. They show everybody how smart they are. They enjoy it. They're having fun. יש להם מנוע מזה. כדי להחזיק את השקר שלהם, in order to fortify it, to advertise this, they are the McCoy, they're the big kahuna, it's them. אבל החוכם, but that chacham, there is amongst them one that they all receive from him. He's a metzach hanochos, Rasha v'kofer bli shum hanah. He's a heretic without getting any kind of enjoyment from it. Okay. It's metzach hanochos. Rasha v'kofer bli shum hanah. And with shum hanah, he doesn't enjoy his chacham b'chlal. Or he's like a fruma Rasha. He's like in his riches, in his wickedness, he's religious. This is religious. Rasha v'kofer bli shum hanah. The klal ha'maimer kula echad. The entire maimer is one thing. It all ties together. The tzedakah is very difficult in the beginning, but the Torah of the tzedakah is very great. So the tzedakah, ultimately, you won't have to do any kind of asik, any kind of ishtadlus. Can you stay nikayim or bechazda? Because the world is, it's obsessed on the Chesed Kodesh Baruch Hu. Because through the tzedakah, you are executing metzach hanochos that is sucking from ziknei ador that doesn't add das every single day. Then the calling of the Yom Tovim. Hey, the world is run by Rotzon Eloki. It's not nature. Kadosh Baruch Hu makes it run. Then it can be heard. When it can be heard, whoa, then it becomes Yira. Kadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. That means after 120 years, there's literally hell to pay, right? The good stuff receive good, but the not so good stuff, kaha. Shem Yirachem. This Megala the Yira. By the Yira is Galas HaRotzim. And for the Yira, it becomes a Rotzon Keli. When you have Yira, you can get plenty. You can get bounty without having to worry. It'll drive you bonkers. It'll drive you away from Kodesh Baruch Hu. Getting a Shefa is very dangerous. If you don't have Kelim to control it, you can very easily Gulfstream 650. Private jet, of course. I can hear you. But when you have Euro, you can get Shefa and it doesn't hurt you. That's the clear Rotzen, because without a clear Natzino, you cannot be Mekabel Chesed. Only through the Euro. The more Euro you have, which is Tzino, V'Kli, this is become a Chesed, that subsists the world. You don't have to do any Melacha, it's kind of V'Om Du Zorim, or Tzornchem Kanal. That Hashem, the schus of this Torah that we just finished, Torah Daled, will be Omer, will be Omed Bezat Hashem. First of all, to all the people of Am Yisrael that need it, to release Bezat Hashem, all those who are in any kind of bondage, either bondage of illness, bondage of loneliness, bondage of captivity, bondage of mental inyanim, whatever it is, or refuse, whatever they need. Specifically, with that slocha, with that Hashem of Nosson Elimelech ben Chana HaMarochel, and Esther Tmima Bas Dina Eino, and Klal Yisrael, with that Hashem, all Refuah Shlema, and Yeshua's Gedolos, and the Chomes, and all we talk about Refuah, with that Hashem, Refuah to everything, don't need everything, with that Hashem, Parnasa, Shalom Bayis, Zivug, everything. That Hashem, Kodesh Baruch Hu, Mezakes, to start and finish more Torahs, Torah Sabina, Kodesh V'Anerob. Schos again on Kodesh Israel, Amen. Kol Tov and Good Shabbos. Get you